Hi, I'm Deborah Richardson from Tin Teddy, and today I'm going to show you a really easy idea for making interesting boxes and containers for storing things using just junk from around the house. Now all that you need for this project are some magazines, preferably the ones which are nice and glossy with lots of bright coloured pictures. You need some scissors. You need some glue. This is one of those sticky stick glues, or you can just use whatever glue you like, PVA for example. You'll need some sort of pot or container. I'll tell you a bit more about those in a moment. You can use a glue gun if you've got one, but again, don't worry if you haven't, you can just use strong PVA glue. And that's pretty much all we need to make this project. Now, because we're making a covered box, you will obviously need some sort of box. I'm going to use this box today. It's sorry about the glare. It had milkshake powder in it, and it has a nice lid on it. And I'm going to make this to sort of store some sewing gear in. And I'll also cover this box, which had some guinea pig food in it, and I'm going to just make this into a little storage box. Or you could even cover the inside of a toilet roll. So whatever little pots or containers you happen to have around, you can use, from little tiny pots right up to something the size of a waste paper basket. Okay, now all we need to do is go through your magazine and look for pages that are quite bright and cheerful and have got good colourful adverts. Oh, this one's got lots of colour and picture on it. We'll just tear out a page. There we go. I think I'll tear both of them because it's the centre and going to be easy. Just move these out of the way. Okay, there's one other thing you will need for this project. I knew there would be after I'd said everything. You need something to wrap your piece of paper around. Now you can use an ordinary pencil if you like. I'm actually going to use a knitting needle that's about the same thickness as a pencil. And the reason I'm using the knitting needle is just because it's longer and a little bit easier. If you're making this for a very small pot, you might want to use something a bit smaller and thinner than a pencil, maybe a skewer or a thin knitting needle. And if you're making this for a very large project, you might want to use something even thicker than this. Now all we have to do is decide which side or which corner of our picture is the prettiest. I think I like the bit with the flare there. So I'm going to just turn my paper over, and at the opposite corner I'm going to start winding the paper onto my knitting needle. There we go. After a little while you'll have to pull your knitting needle or your pencil out a little bit, or otherwise it will get caught up. Just keep going. There we go. If you don't pull it out, you'll be stuck with the pencil forever wrapped in the paper. Now get your glue stick and put a smidge of glue on that point that's left, and just keep rolling until that's rolled up as well. And now if you pull your knitting needle out, you are left with a tube. And obviously depending on what pattern was on the paper, it'll look different every time. I'll do one more, although I think you'll probably understand this fairly simply. If you want to use the side that's got the raggedy edge on, just grab your scissors and quickly trim up that edge just to tidy it up. You don't have to be at all exact with this, it's super easy. Turn my paper over and just start rolling. Got my thing a little bit more. Keep rolling, 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 rolling until we get to the thing. I didn't roll this one at all square compared to the other one, but it doesn't matter. And there we go. And pull out my stick. So this time we got quite a cool blue one. Now this is a great way to use up all those glossy magazines that you get with the Sunday newspapers. In fact, the brighter and cheerfuler the magazine, the more colours and options you're going to get for your sticks. Now you need to make enough sticks to be able to go all the way round your pot, because we're going to be gluing them onto the sides of our pot. And as you probably can see, it takes quite a few sticks to go all the way around a pot. So if you want to pause now and go off and make some sticks, and then join me in just a second and I'll show you how we fix them on and finish the pot off. Okay, so now you should have a big pile of these paper tubes. Now if you want to, you can take a strip of paper, just an ordinary scrap of any old bit of paper, wrap it right round your pot, and then you can lay it down on your work surface and plan the order you want to put your tubes in. This is if you want to make them in some sort of pattern, for example, changing colours or going from light to dark or alternating light and dark or whatever. I'm not going to do anything sophisticated as that. I'm just going to glue them straight onto the pot. Okay, to do this I'm going to use a glue gun. If you would rather not use a glue gun, you can just use some normal strong PVA adhesive. That'll do the job just as well. And I'm just going to go round. That's reasonably straight. I probably should have started at the edge. And glue all my tubes onto my box or pot. I assume you're going to take a little bit more time over it than I am. Now if you make sure when you glue them down, actually I'm going to push these up, I think I'm just going to move these up so that I'm not wasting so much sticking out that end. There we go. The last little bit of the flap when we did the winding, if you can see there if I move it down, hasn't quite stuck down properly on this one. Can you see it's still sticking up and flapping about? When you come to stick it on the box, if you make sure that flap's at the bottom, tucked in, it won't be able to come undone and it'll be nice and secure and safe. Now all you need to do is carry on going round your box, gluing all these pretty paper tubes into place until you've completely covered your box or container. So I'll just do that. There we go, I've nearly finished. Now obviously please don't let a child use one of these glue guns. They get very, very hot. They're very dangerous in the wrong hands. I've burnt myself on it. And I'm sure everybody else who's used one of these things will tell you the same thing. It's not nice if you get the hot glue onto you. So if a younger person out there is doing this project, you can glue these down with PVA glue. That'll work absolutely fine. Or you could ask an older person to help you with the glue gunning. I'm really using it more because it's quicker for this tutorial. There we go. I'm just coming to the end. Now most of my strips I've used here, most of my tubes have come from a house magazine, one of those how to have a beautiful house type magazines. They tend to have lots of bright coloured pictures, but you could also use any of the glossy magazines. You could also use newspaper for an interesting effect, or old wrapping paper. You could use scrapbook paper. That's obviously can be very, very beautiful, but does tend to be a bit more expensive. One of the good things about doing it this way is this is just stuff that you would be throwing away normally, so the cost is absolutely minimal. All you've got to pay for here is the glue. You could also use those flyers that come through the door, rather annoyingly. And again, before you just throw them away, roll them up and add them to a little stash, and then when you've got a pretty pot that you want to construct, you'll have a little supply. Got two more to go. Oops, just going on there. And one more. It'll just about fit down that little groove if I give it a bit of a squeeze. There we go. Shove it in there, that'll do. Oops. Just cut that little piece off there. Okay. Right, so I've now covered my tin completely in the paper tubes, and you can see I've started to cut the little ends off of these tubes so as to make a nice, neat, tidy finish. You can cut right down to the very end of the tub, or you can leave it a little bit prominent like this and make the tub look a little bit bigger. It's up to you. Do be careful though again when using scissors, and if in any doubt, ask somebody for some help. So I'd cut that end just like I've done this one, just to make a pretty tidy end. Okay, so I've just trimmed the ends of my tube, and now to make the pot look really pretty, I'm just going to finish with a piece of scrapbooking paper. And I'm just going to stick a bit of scrapbooking paper around the top and around the bottom, just to give the top a bit of a nicer look. Now it's completely up to you how you decorate your pot. You can do lots of different things to these pots to make them look, these containers, to make them look attractive. You can put bits of blingy stuff on them, you could paint them over the top, you could add glitter, you could wrap the individual tubes with pieces of string or pieces of coloured paper to make a decorative effect. That could look quite nice. It really is something where it's completely up to you how you finish it off. Okay, so I've added this around the top and the bottom just for pretty. Now I'm just going to glue 3 Tin Teddy butterflies. There's a few different packs of Tin Teddy graphics which include butterflies, and I'm just going to stick these on. And get the glue to work like that, just to finish decorating my canister. And then you could add a piece of braid or cord you could lay around the top to tidy up the top if you wanted to. This is going to have its lid put back on. There we go. And I can now use it to store my sewing threads and cottons, which is what I was making it for. For more tutorials and to buy my large range of graphics for scrapbooking and other crafting projects, visit www.tinteddy.com. Bye!